Welcome to Shield Check, a DC20 series covering class and subclass breakdowns in under 10 minutes. This time on Shield Check, we'll be covering the Druid and Druid subclasses. A Druid's connection to nature can come from a deep respect, love, and appreciation of the natural world. Some Druids are blessed by a god or spirit of nature, granting them innate magical abilities. They can sense and connect to nature and use its magic as their own. Their combat training gives them access to weapons, all armors, and all shields, as well as access to the primal spell list. This is the character progression chart for Druids from levels 1 through 10. At level 1, our class feature gives us access to Druid Domain. For 1 action point and 1 mana point, you can create a domain of small plant life, water, or other natural features. You can create up to 8 spaces along the ground or walls, the first space being within 1 space of you, and each space after being adjacent to another. If used again, the first space must be within a space of you or another domain space. Your domain spaces count as difficult terrain for creatures of your choice, and when you cast a spell, you do so as if you were standing in any space within your domain. You can lose domain spaces, and they disappear if you end your turn farther than 15 spaces away from it, or if you die. You may take domain actions, such as Nature's Grasp, spending 1 action point to attempt to bind a creature of your choice within your domain. You make a spell check against the target's repeated physical save. On a success, they are bound to your domain, preventing it from moving for 1 minute or until the space ends. You may also move creatures. By spending 1 action point, a creature bound by this feature can be moved up to 2 spaces within your domain. And you can move objects. You take the object action to use your vines and interact with objects within your domain as if you were standing in any of your spaces. When you do, you can move the object 5 spaces within your domain. And Wild Growth. You can spend 1 action point and 1 mana point to make a DC10 spell check to heal a target within your domain. On a success, they immediately regain 2 health points. For the next minute, they regain an additional 1 health point each time they end a turn in your domain. For each success by 5, they immediately gain 1 additional health point. On a failure, the target only regains 2 health points immediately. You also get access to Wild Form. For 1 action point and 1 mana point, you can transform into a wild form of your choice. You can spend 1 action point on your turn to shift between true form and wild forms available to you. Once per long rest, you can transform without spending mana points or using mana point enhancement. True form. When you transform from wild form to true form, your stats return to normal. You immediately return to true form when your wild form HP is reduced to 0 or if you die. Wild form. When you transform into a wild form, you gain the wild form's current health points, retaining any health point losses. The duration of each wild form remains available until its health point is reduced to 0 or you complete a long rest. You can have multiple forms available to you that each have their own health points and traits. The equipment you're wearing either falls to the ground or merges into your form. You gain the benefit of magic items, but cannot activate them or spend their charges. The Druid's wild form statistics are shown below, as well as some other key features such as natural weapon. You also get the flavor feature Wild Speech. Learning the Druid cantrip and choosing either animals or plants, you can understand their language and the way they move or sounds or behaviors they conduct. And weather, you can reach out to nature and cast the Commune with Nature spell as a ritual once per long rest. This is the wild form stat block and what makes up each component. At level 2, our class feature gives us Nature's Torrent. When a creature within 10 spaces of you takes elemental damage, you can spend 1 action point as a reaction to summon a torrent of nature. The torrent fills 1 space radius sphere centered on the target that lasts for 1 minute. Creatures within the area have vulnerability against the triggering damage type and have disadvantage on checks and saves to resist being moved or knocked prone. The torrent can end early if you use this feature again, become incapacitated, die, or choose to end it for free at any time. You also get 1 talent point. Here are the wild form traits you can choose from when you shift into your wild form. Level 3 brings us access to the Druid subclasses, the first of which is Phoenix. Should you choose the Phoenix subclass, you get access to Flames of Rebirth, a fiery form. When you use your wild form, you can choose your creature type to become elemental fire instead of beast. Your wild forms gain fire resistance, and you can choose fire as the damage type of your wild form's natural weapon. Cleansing Flames. When a creature healed within your Druid domain is healed by one of your mana point effects, you can remove one impaired, dazed, burning, or poisoned condition. Rolling Wildfire. Creatures of your choice take 1 fire damage for each space they move within your Druid domain, or if they start their turn within your Druid domain. You also get access to the flavor feature, Fire Within. You are unaffected by cold weather conditions and can bring a gallon of liquid to a boil after making physical contact with it or its container for 1 minute. Or you could choose the subclass, Rampant Growth. Should you choose the Rampant Growth subclass, you get access to Overgrowth. Plant form. When you use your wild form, you can choose for your creature type to be a plant instead of beast. Your wild form becomes immune to bleeding, and you can choose poison as the damage type of your wild form's natural weapon. Vine Guard. Plant life in your domain swirls to protect and support you. Creatures of your choice within your domain gain the benefits of half cover. Thorny Grasp. When a creature fails a save against your Nature's Grasp, it begins bleeding. And also, access to the flavor feature, Seed Vault. You can magically produce the seeds of any mundane plant that you've ever touched. And if neither of these fit your style, then you can choose the Paragon Druid subclass. Choosing the Paragon Druid subclass gives you access to 1 class talent, which you can choose to use in different ways. The first of which being Wild Form Expansion. This requires Wild Form and level 3. At the start of each of your turns, you can transform into your true form or wild form without spending action points. When you use Wild Form, you get 2 additional trait points to spend. Or you can choose Nature's Vortex. This requires Nature's Torrent and being level 3. Creatures of your choice are immune to your Nature's Torrent. When you use Nature's Torrent, you can choose to increase its radius by 1 and impose disadvantage on ranged attacks made against creatures within the area. You can spend 2 action points on your turn to use Nature's Torrent without requiring a creature to take elemental damage. When you do, the torrent is instead an aura centered on you, and you choose its elemental damage type. And as always, you get access to the flavor feature, Jack of 1 trade, giving you access to 1 trade point. And that wraps it up for the Druid and Druid subclasses. We'll catch you next time on Shield Check, and until then, keep that shield wall strong.